everybody, welcome back to Disaster Dates with me. Today I'm going to tell you a story about the first guy I dated when I moved overseas and how I found out the truth behind a peculiar nickname that his friends had given him. Before we get started, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of my terrible stories of my unfortunate dating life. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. In 2017, I had just graduated with my bachelor's degree from a university in South Carolina. After graduation, I decided I was going to move overseas, and so I moved to England to study for my master's degree at Bournemouth University. While also studying for my master's, I was able to pursue my volleyball career both within the university and outside of the university. In England, I was living in a house with 6 other Americans. House 50. Oh, such a great place. At first, I wasn't too excited to live with other Americans because, you know, when you move overseas, you want to dive straight into that culture. But the English, when they heard about all these Americans coming over, they were like, nah, mate, put them all together. Those people are still my good friends, and I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Within the first couple of days, maybe weeks of us being there, the university hosted a sports informative night. This was basically for all of the teams, both in the fall and spring seasons, to come together, get informed on how things work, get to mingle, and all that good stuff. I want to point out big difference between the US and UK sports culture, especially collegiate sports culture. In the US, collegiate sports are worshipped. It's such a big part of our day. It's on TV, it's jam-packed, tickets are sold out, everyone knows about it. It is just such a fun thing to do. So when I moved overseas, I thought it was going to be the same, but whoa, was I mistaken. I would go up to some of my professors and say, hey, there's a game today, do you want to come watch? And they'd be like, what? We have a volleyball team? So it wasn't what I had been accustomed to growing up in that sports culture environment, but it took some adjusting, you got used to it. And also each team had first and second teams because there were so many people that wanted to play. The first teams were, like in high school, would be varsity, or in college it would be the main team. And then the second teams, in comparison, for high school in America, it would be JV. In college, be the intramural team. During this sports night, I'm not really mingling with other teams because I'm still trying to get to know, one, the people that I'm living with, because I don't really know them that well, and two, the other people on the volleyball teams, because that is soon to be my family. Those will be my people, my safe space. So of course, I'm just familiarizing myself with them. After this night, a girl from the second team comes up to me. We'll call her Amy. She says,
Rachel, one of my friends, he saw you at this sports night. He's asked me if you would be interested in giving him your number.
And we're gonna call this guy Mason. So I said, yeah, Amy, give Mason my number. I don't mind. At first I was thinking I'm really busy with volleyball and I'm really busy with my master's program, but I'm in England. Let's see what happens. So Mason and I are texting for a bit, and he's really nice and he's charming. It's new. New is exciting. He asks me out on a date. It's really lovely. He's taking me to all the spots in downtown Bournemouth. We're looking at all the different sites, and he's being a perfect gentleman. After the date, he drives me home, in which case all of my housemates had seen the car headlights come up and ran to the windows and like peeking their heads out. Rachel's on a date. Picture, picture, picture. Looking at you, Skylar. So then he asks me out on a second date. It was really lovely. He was just very charming and he knew what he was doing. After the second date, we would go on walks, particularly around campus because we were both so busy. Sometimes he would come over before class and he would walk me to my class. I thought that was very sweet of him. Now it's Christmas time and Mason has invited me to come over to his house to meet his roommates, his friends, to have a game night. There'll be mulled wine, there'll be snacks, and it'll be a good time. And then I'll go home. Perfect. So I'm speaking to Amy about this and I'm like, oh, I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. And some of her girlfriends are there. Her girlfriends are like, wait, whose house are you going to? And I said, oh, Mason. And she goes,
you're going to Captain Hook's house?
and I was like, what? Captain Hook? What does that mean?
They're like, oh, don't know. It's just a little pet name we gave him. We've been friends for years. It's like an inside joke between us.
And I thought, oh, okay, yeah, cool, Captain Hook. I still don't know what it means, but I don't really care enough to ask, because The night of this game night rolls around. So I walk over to his house, and I meet his friends, and I meet his roommates, and they're all really lovely. We're playing these card games, we're playing these board games. It's awesome. We're drinking mulled wine. Then it gets to a point, I love mulled wine, so I've had a little bit too much Christmas cheer. So I don't feel comfortable walking home by myself in the middle of the night. Mason has had a bit too much Christmas cheer. He can't drive me home. He says,
"You can stay over here, it's okay."
So at the end of all the games, we go up to his room and Animal Planet is on. And I remember this clearly. David Attenborough is narrating this show about life under the sea. So then one thing starts to lead to another and I looked down and I went, oh, in my head. I now realize why his friends call him Captain Hook. In Peter Pan, Captain Hook has a very small and very hooked hook. Yeah, it's a nice little visual for you. So then I started thinking to myself, oh, Rachel, you don't have to do this, girl. You don't have to do this. But it's Christmas. Why not? Maybe he'll surprise me. No, Peter Pan was right. You need to stay away from those Captain Hooks because it was awful. It was awful. It was bad. So bad to the point where my head was just to the side. I was watching this documentary and I just remember David Attenborough's voice. The combination, I don't recommend it. So then Mason suddenly stops and he exclaims,
"It's gone."
"What's gone?" he said.
"The equipment. It's gone."
Well, where is it? And I'm looking through all the sheets because I'm like, there's no possible way. I'm thinking I know where it is, but I'm like, no. And he stops me and he looks at me. He was like, so I have these little hands, right? I can't do it. So Captain Hook had to go in there and fish it out for 2 minutes. And it got to a point that he had to use his phone flashlight to try to see if he could get it out. How mortifying that is. 2 minutes doesn't sound like a long time. But it is! It certainly is! 2 minutes is a long time in two situations. One, when you have to do a plank, and two, when you got Captain Hook down yonder fishing around up there trying to find something. Oh, it was uncomfortable. It was embarrassing. And I was like, oh my God, this date can't get any worse. He gets it and he's like,
"Oh, I got it!"
good job, gold star for you. And we're just sitting there now and it's weird. And he goes,
"Do you just want to go to sleep?"
I was like, yes. Wake up the next day, he's being super sweet and I'm now just a little weirded out by last night, but I'm like, okay, no, it's okay. Those things happen. Sometimes they're like success stories, whatever, I don't know. So he drives me home. Again, he's a perfect gentleman. He definitely knows what he's doing because he's being charming. So charming to the point that even after the events of last night, I was like, oh yeah, I would like to see you again. That takes some kind of talent after those kind of events for me to want to see someone again. Ow! Anyways, after a few days, the texting and the conversation, it just kind of faded out to the point where I hadn't heard from him in a couple of days. I'm at volleyball practice a few days later and I go up to Amy and I said, is Mason okay? I haven't heard from him in a while. And she goes,
He's back with his ex-girlfriend, love. Sorry.
of course! Another classic case of being a foster girlfriend, where you foster emotionally unstable men until they eventually find their forever homes. I was too busy anyways with volleyball and I was distracting myself with this nonsense. Water off a duck's back. A few months later, there's an end of the year party for the university and everybody's out at this club slash bar slash whatever it wants to be called. And I see Mason and I'm like, nope, don't look at me, don't look at me. But he looks at me and he comes over and he says,
"I miss you."
At this point, I think everybody in that room was having a little bit too much fun. It's not Rachel that's present, my alter ego Rachel. The next thing I remember is I woke up, look around, and I'm like, I'm in his room! It's the next morning! So I guess during the night, a hat had fallen down, and on the inside of it, there was this Irish poem. So he takes it out, and he's reading me this Irish poem, and I couldn't give a flying about this poem. I just wanted to leave. Then he picks up his phone and he's like,
"Oh God!"
and he starts rushing. And I said, whoa, why are we rushing now? You were just reciting this poem to me and now you're trying to get me out of your house. What's going on? He goes,
"No, I'm sorry. I have an event today with my team and I can't be late because I'm the captain, blah, 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 blah."
I thought, okay, I understand that. And he was like,
"Do you mind walking home?"
and I said, I'm not walking home. I mind. You can drive me. He says, what?
"Well, we don't have time. We don't have time."
And I said, you had time to take me home last night. You have time to drive me home. He drives me home, but he's a little speed racer driving home, drives back, and it was, I don't think about him. We're not texting anymore. It was just a big old mistake that night was. Whatever. I walk through the door and my housemates are like, woo! where were you? And I was like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. A few days later, we're at practice, and Amy comes up to me, and she says,
Were you at Mason's house the other night?
and I thought, oh God. And I said, let's not talk about it, okay? Let's not talk about it. She goes,
No, I think you should know this. I saw you leave because I was going over there. They were gonna have like a party that day because his current girlfriend from 2 cities away came over to spend the weekend with him.
10 minutes after I left. What? He's messy. This boy is messy. So I thought, of course that has happened. I immediately tell my friend Skylar, and she's like, let's go get wine, because I've just realized I am the other woman. So it's now the end of the year. All the sports teams, both the fall and spring seasons, have finished. The university is hosting a sports awards night where teams and individual athletes win awards. I won a few awards, yes, thank you. I had to go up on stage to go receive these awards a couple of times. Of course, guess whose table is right next to the staircase to get up onto the stage? You guessed it! Oh, Captain Hooky Hook Mason's. His whole team is sat there and he's looking at me and I can feel his eyes on me. I look fantastic, so of course you better be looking at me. So I go up, I accept my award, and I come back down. And the last time that I came back down, he stops me, he stood up, like trying to be a big shot, like, yeah, I'm talking to the American girl. He's like,
Congratulations, you look amazing. Good job this season.
and I just look at him and I go, oh, thanks, Captain Hook. And I go and I sit down. His entire table of teammates erupts in laughter. They're howling, they're getting onto him, and he just sits down. His face is beet red, and he's looking at all of his mates like,
Shut up, shut up.
so that was my little like jab to get him back for embarrassing me, essentially. Yeah, cheers to the first guy that I ever dated overseas, because that went well. Are we surprised though? Are we surprised at this point? I don't think so. I don't know if him and his current girlfriend are still together. I really hope not, because she deserves so much better than... I hope y'all enjoyed this story, because I sure didn't experiencing it, but whatever. My pain is your laughter, and that's what we are here for. Again, I want to remind you, please subscribe to this page so that you can keep up to date with all of the unfortunate stories of my terrible dating life. Give this video a like, please, and put a comment down. What did you think of the story? Have you ever seen... Yeah. All right, y'all, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.